So welcome. It's 10:30. We're going to get started. And I want to just start off by introducing who WSPS is. And many of you here today are probably familiar with us. But for those who are new, WSPS is a partner in Ontario's occupational health and safety system, which includes the Ministry of Labour, Immigration Training and Skills Development, the Workplace Safety and Insurance Board, and 6 health and safety associations, WSPS being one of them. We support the agricultural, manufacturing, and service sectors, which employ more than 4.2 million people throughout the province. We're here to help businesses understand their risks and legal obligations to stay in compliance and build safer workplaces. We are your health and safety partner, which means we will support you every step of the way at the level that's right for you. And there are many ways we can help, whether it's training and events like today, certification training, access to legislation and reference materials, research, or even customized consultation with one of our experts to help build your health and safety program. So my name is Monica Curtis. I am a health and safety consultant here with WSPS, and I do invite you to reach out to me anytime after our session today. We are always happy to help. A reminder that our PowerPoint presentation contains Getty images that are copied under license. We ask that you do not reproduce, distribute, or transmit this material without permission. Before we get started, and to better understand who's participating in our Safety Connections, and ensure we are providing accessible training for all people in Ontario, we would like to invite you to participate in a short survey. We're collecting demographic information on behalf of our funder, the Ministry of Labour, Immigration Training and Skills Development, but please note your responses will be kept secure and anonymous, and the Ministry will not receive any of your personal information. WSPS will be analyzing the survey results in aggregate form prior to sending them to the ministry. And of course, completing the survey or answering any of the questions is optional. But to access the survey, please click on the link on the screen or scan the QR code with your phone. You will need that 6-digit function number to get started in the survey, which is here on the slide, number 230862. And I want to thank you for taking that time to complete the survey and really helping us to make sure that health and safety training is accessible for all. Before we get started with today's webinar, I want to review some webinar housekeeping items with you. Please remember that you can use your computer audio with headphones, but phone conference audio is also available. The phone conference audio details can be found in the access email you received earlier, and your camera and microphone will remain off for the remainder of the session. I do appreciate your participation throughout the webinar. So within this meeting, you have the option to use reactions, which are accessed in the menu bar, and reactions are instant thank you and will float up to the screen. I'm not going to be asking you poll questions today. However, I will be asking you a series of questions and inviting your insight and your experience as we move through today's session. And messages can be sent anytime. They will be seen by all participants, but we will be monitoring the chat as we move along. So thank you in advance for your participation. A couple of other items. Microsoft Teams offers 2 accessibility features which may be of use to you. So to enable live captions, select More from the menu bar, Language and Speech, and then turn on live captions. If you need to enable the full screen mode, please select View from the menu bar, More Options, and then Full Screen. And both of these features can be disabled by following the same instructions. If you do have any technical difficulties throughout the webinar, please send a message in the meeting chat or respond to the access email you received. The Safety Connection program, while you're here today, really has 4 main goals. We really want to learn, share, and discover what's of value to you, our customers, and our community. We also virtually want to connect with our industry peers. We've got about 115 people in today's session, which is wonderful. And this is an opportunity to learn to see who's here and connect. We also want to facilitate a best practice exchange and, provide you an opportunity to attend a health and safety webinar from your own personal workspace. We've got about 90 minutes together. And I'd like to start with setting the stage. In 2025, Ontario workplaces are navigating a complex web of economic pressures. These headwinds don't just affect the bottom line, they challenge our long term growth and threaten investments in critical areas like occupational health and safety. Our goal today is to navigate through this uncertainty and explore some smart safety strategies that we can use, including a SWOT analysis to future proof our safety culture, even when times are lean. In 2025, Ontario workplaces are facing mounting economic pressures. Rising inflation, supply chain disruptions, and labor shortages are creating a tough environment for employers across sectors. Many are being forced to make difficult decisions just to stay afloat. Companies are scaling back investments, they're delaying upgrades and trimming non essential spending. And unfortunately, safety programs often fall into that nice to have category when budgets tighten. Training, equipment maintenance, and proactive safety initiatives may be postponed or downsized, leaving organizations vulnerable to increased incidents, compliance issues, and long term costs. Let's be honest, 2025 has not been easy for Ontario employers. Economic headwinds are hitting hard. Growth is slowing. Budgets are shrinking, and every dollar is being scrutinized. In this climate, safety investments are at risk. But here's the truth, cutting back on safety isn't just risky, it's expensive. Incidents, turnover, and fines cost far more than prevention. That's why safety culture must evolve. We need to shift from a high cost program to high impact habits. Safety isn't a line item, it's a leadership mindset. So I'd like to hear from you. Couple of questions, please. How have recent economic pressures like inflation or labor shortages impacted your ability to invest in safety? Have you had to postpone training, delay equipment maintenance, or reduce proactive safety efforts? And if so, I'd like to hear from you in the chat. Feel free, jump on in. And maybe you have some strategies that you can share that your team has used to stay focused and disciplined amid these shifting trade conditions. I wonder, I'm asking, how has your organization adapted to its safety culture to stay resilient? So here we've got Scott, thank you, no outside training. So it's money, right? We're refusing or we're stopping or postponing any outside training. Thanks. Ida says not for us, hasn't really impacted us yet. Anybody else? Okay. So Katie, required training has been maintained. Developmental training has been delayed. Okay, so a stop on professional development or a delay on professional development. Costs of training from Vanessa, employees who do not stay. We now do 90% of our training in-house. Okay, there's a strategy. Increased interest in database decision making. Interesting, Julia. We're going to talk about some of that, touch upon some of that later on today. Misty's talked about we have to focus more on internal training again and reduced equipment upgrades in the ergo area. Rhonda says nothing's changed, still getting training as needed. Okay. Melissa is talking about no training as well. Some of you, we've had 3 people leave, and no backfills. Blake's talking about also postponing training. Tuition for courses suspended. Mark is saying, the Health and Safety Committee members are too busy to attend monthly meetings. Oh my goodness, so now we're not even in compliance. Three Hills Engineering, let's see, increase in in-house free training options. Dan talks about labor shortages and turnover have impacted us substantially. Okay, and you're not the only one for sure. Amber, staffing cutbacks on maintenance and vehicle repair. Interesting. And we've got Constance, only absolute necessary for the job is being permitted, i.e. working at heights or JHSC certification. Okay, Blake, no backfilling of occupational health and safety positions. We're going to talk about that as well, because safety is not just one person, is it? Jack, go more with more in-house training employees to do the training, fit testing, first aid training. Yeah, so in-house SMEs or trainers. Alexandra postponed optional training, reallocation of staffing resources. And Timothy, we need to look at pushing training to online for low risk. Oh, interesting one as well from Leanne. All ergonomic aids require a doctor's note now. Some of you, Ron, no changes in actual hiring. Melissa, we've moved to quarterly meetings and only inspections are monthly. Hiring freeze, training budget may be reduced, and proactive safety projects are on hold, says Tasha. And John, we've started a STOP program, handing out recognition cards for exceptional compliance, identifying safety of a colleague, etc. John, I love it. So there's a strategy that you've used to stay focused and disciplined. Love that. And I really want to be able to mention that later on when we talk about some of the smart safety strategies as well. And then we've got looking at waste handling procedures, moving from buckets to waste bags, big savings. So, okay, some great things in there. Some of you've mentioned, you're shifting to peer-led safety checks or training. Some of you are talking about reorganizing your workplaces or the material that you're using within your workplace for a better flow. And of course, that free online training that's available. I thank you for your chats, because this is a chance to really set the stage, learn from each other to see how others are navigating similar challenges. So, even a small win here can inspire someone else. So thank you for your participation. I want to move on to one of the biggest external pressures now, trade turbulence, right? Global uncertainty is hitting Ontario hard, especially for the manufacturers and exporters. The US tariffs are, threatening to disrupt supply chains and forcing companies to rethink sourcing and logistics. Input costs are climbing. Export strategies that worked maybe last year are no longer or may no longer be viable. This trade turbulence doesn't just affect logistics, though. It affects people. And when supply chains are disrupted, workflows get messy and timelines shrink and stress levels rise. And in this climate, cross-border agility isn't just a luxury, it's a necessity. Companies need to be nimble, adaptable, and ready to pivot. And here's where safety comes in. A resilient safety culture supports operational stability. It keeps teams focused. It reduces downtime, and time spent on problems, and ensures compliance, even when these external conditions are unpredictable. So while trade turbulence is real, it's not a reason to pause safety. It's a reason to double down. A strong safety culture helps our teams stay disciplined and focused, even when everything else is shifting. So again, I'd love to hear from you. How has this uncertainty shown up in your workplace? Have you had to adjust your strategies or your shift production schedules or rethink staffing models? And some of you have already said in the chat that you're not hiring for OHS, or staff have left and you're not replacing them. But think about what might be happening in your particular workplace. Please share your experience in the chat. Your insights can actually help others, right? See how these macroeconomic changes are playing out in the ground. And I'm just going to check the chat, because we did have some additional comments, and I think it ties in nicely with this question as well. Proactive safety projects are on hold. Hiring freezes. The training budget may be reduced. We have a PD program in place, professional development program in place, says Dreen, but budget is more for the exec and not enough for the front line, who are more prone to safety risk and require more training. Interesting. And I want to think about how those decisions are being made and by whom. Dan says, we've adjusted supply chains to stay in Canada. Okay. And Ida says, we are a European company and was not affected much. Interesting. Okay, good to know. Thank you for those who have added into the chat for that. Another major pressure facing Ontario employers is demand volatility. Consumer behavior has become unpredictable and cautious. People are spending less and they're spending differently. Organizations are seeing demand soften across multiple sectors. As a result, businesses are operating more conservatively, tightening budgets, as we've already seen in the chat, and delaying investments. And unfortunately, safety initiatives are often getting pushed down the priority list during these tough times. They're seen as not essential, when in fact they're foundational. And this is where strategic thinking matters. Volatility doesn't mean cutting safety, it means reallocating resources smarter. It means finding those low cost, high impact ways to keep safety strong. The takeaway here, I think volatility really demands smarter resource allocation. Safety must remain part of the core strategy, not just a line item to trim. So I'd like to ask, has demand volatility led your organization to scale back or rethink any safety efforts? Maybe training was postponed. You've already talked about that, most of you in the chat. What about equipment upgrades? I noted there was some conversation around vehicle maintenance. Maybe those proactive programs are put on hold. Some of you have talked about that as well. And, you know, if there is a way your team has kept safety central, what was that? Even as your budgets tighten. And maybe you have found some ways to stretch some of the resources. Some of you have mentioned leaning on peer-led initiatives. Maybe you've identified some free tools to maintain momentum. Please, if you have any other additional experiences or insights regarding this particular pressure, please let us know in the chat. You know, this helps us build a stronger, more resilient safety culture when we see what others are doing. So Jack has mentioned our turnover rate is pretty high. So we have to continually retrain new employees. Wow, that can certainly get expensive. Melissa says, you know what, we use lower cost alternative for chairs. I'm not sure what that means. If you have an opportunity, Melissa, if you could just expand on that, that might be something that might be really interesting for us folks. Ida has says, not safety, but traveling and entertainments are limited. Okay, we've tightened the budget there. Sandrine, exploring train the trainer programs to bring training in-house, which is high cost initially, but reduces cost in the long run. Big picture thinking, right? I love that. That's a great opportunity for us to think about. And I think many of us are. Ron, safety has always been top priority, and this economic slowdown has not changed. We have a hiring freeze, okay, at the moment. Okay, I'm glad to hear that safety is still a priority. That's wonderful. Okay, so here, thank you, Melissa. We used to have high quality chairs, 800 plus, and now they're oh, I'm thinking about your ergonomic program then and thinking about the equipment. And so now it's going to be interesting to see the return on investment. Yeah, ergonomics needs to be maintained for chairs. Yeah, absolutely. Sounds good. And we'd want to be able to see, of course, what the return on investment might be, whether the $800 chairs last longer, or are you going to be replacing the $200 chairs more frequently? So that's going to be an interesting exercise and something certainly I think you're thinking about. Oh, you still have an old one, but it's almost 10 years old. Yeah, it's so important, especially when we do a lot of sitting in our roles. Timothy's mentioned, oh, we've had early retirements. Okay. And Misty, safety has to be a priority for us because we're a considerable distance from a medical facility. Ooh, also interesting to think about the landscape and environment. Thank you for that. That's really interesting. I appreciate your feedback. Let's talk about energy. Something that's often overlooked in safety conversations, but increasingly central to operational strategy. Energy strategy is now a strategic concern. Stable, affordable energy is harder to secure, and volatility in global markets is pushing companies to rethink how they power their operations. Organizations are actually seeing a rise in investments in local and renewable energy sources. And yes, that's a smart long-term move, but it does come with upfront costs that compete with other priorities, including safety. This is where leadership must make balanced decisions. Safety and energy resilience are both essential, and neither can be sacrificed without consequences. Energy resilience must be balanced with safety investment. One supports the other because a safe, stable workplace is better equipped to handle energy disruptions and adapt to new systems. And just wondering, this question number 6, really a two-parter here, just as we're setting the stage. Is your organization feeling the impact of rising energy or supply and energy costs or supply instability? And how is that affecting your operations or safety planning? And are there any specific steps your team has taken to balance energy resilience with safety investment? So maybe some of you talked about creative ways to stretch some of those resources in terms of material or supplies that you might be bringing in. Maybe you've reorganized some of your workflow. Maybe you're down from, 3 shifts a day or in 24 hours down to 2. Just wondering if anybody has looked at some creative ways of getting some money back into their organization for investing in some economic or energy resources. Okay, so Vanessa said in the greenhouse sector, we are mandated to switch off the grid and run on generators in order to ensure adequate supply to homeowners in Ontario. Really interesting because I did not know that. And that is something that's, I think, well suited for this conversation. Thank you. We've got Timothy, building on campus are being temperature controlled shorter times. Okay, yeah. Slowing down or reducing the temperature or the working on the HVAC system might be some of the ideas as well that you have. Okay, thank you. Looks like that is it for that particular question. I want to talk about today's climate and financial discipline. We know it's not just a survival skill. It's a very interesting way that companies are making some tough choices on how to allocate their capital. Like every dollar is under scrutiny now. And I think you're representing that in the chat, or the conversations in the chat are certainly representing that as well. We know when budgets tighten, those non-core areas are often the first to be cut. And unfortunately, occupational health and safety improvements can fall into that category as they can be seen as expendable or, as some of you've mentioned, deferrable, put on hold. But here's the reality. Safety is not a luxury. It's a long-term investment in productivity, stability, and workforce morale. So cutting safety today may save money on paper, but it risks higher costs tomorrow from injuries, downtime, turnover, and regulatory penalties. Cutting safety really today risks productivity tomorrow. Financial discipline should sharpen our focus, not shrink our commitment to keeping people safe. So, like to know, has your organization had to choose between safety investments and other priorities? I'd like to know, how was that decision made and what's been the impact so far? If you share your experience in the chat, this helps us, your stories help us certainly understand how financial discipline plays out in the real world safety decisions. And is there one way your team has protected the safety investments during budget reviews or cost-cutting decisions? And maybe it's aligning safety with some of your business goals, or showing the return on investment, or using data to highlight some of this risk. So please drop your ideas in the chat. Let's share some strategies for keeping safety front and center when these resources are limited. So looking at the chat, Jack has talked about times of lighting and hours of use timers. Wonderful. Love that example for the energy. Hannah has talked about the WSIB's Health and Safety Excellence Program, and we are going to talk about that. So I'm glad you brought that up, Hannah. Wonderful. Constance is looking at ways to invest in future energy markets. There we go. So it is tying in with this particular challenge. Cedrine, we are under a lease for our buildings, and the power is held by the landlord. The landlord prefers to keep costs low. There you go. Sometimes you're required to do certain things because of such circumstances. Tom, Ensure the pre-start and health and safety reviews are never put off. Oh, that's fantastic. I'm happy to hear that, Tom, about the PSRs. Pauline invested in new machinery to improve productivity, safety, and labor. Awesome. Love it. Melissa says, we have collaborated with others in similar industries and purchase items together. Fantastic. Now we're becoming much more collaborative, as you said, in terms of some of these challenges. And I think it's sounding like it's working in the right direction or moving you in the right direction, which is fantastic. Thank you for that. And Misty has said, we are invested in an on-site solar project to be able to reallocate funds to other projects. Ooh, that's very interesting. I'd like to learn more about that. Jack, we've connected safety with business goals. Beautiful. We have demonstrated to leaders that safety can have a benefit in cost reduction. We have data and tangible proof for leaders to demonstrate costs and potential savings. And Jack, I love that. You know, your input's also going to be super important as we move into the next module when we're looking at those smart safety strategies that we can implement and keep the momentum going. So I love that. And we've got sensor lights throughout our building, office, and warehouse. Beautiful. Great ideas. Thank you, everyone. So we've spent some time exploring these economic headwinds facing Ontario workplaces. Again, these trade disruptions, the demand volatility, the energy pressures, and the capital discipline. This pressure is real, and it's reshaping how organizations think about safety. In this climate, it's easy to feel like safety is slipping out of reach. Budgets are tight, priorities are shifting, and the temptation to cut back is strong. Safety culture is under pressure, but it's not beyond repair. In fact, this is exactly when safety culture matters the most. It's a catalyst for resilience. And when our teams are grounded in clear expectations, empowered routines, and strong leadership, they're better equipped to handle uncertainty. I want to know if you agree. Does safety culture mean more now than ever? Drop your thoughts in the chat. If it's a quick yes, I'm good with that. Or if it's a story, why? Your perspective matters. I think it's important. And I'd like to know what you think a strong culture or a strong safety culture looks like in your workplace. And how do you know it's working? Think about how your culture is supporting your people, protecting your productivity, maybe reinforcing discipline when everything else is shifting. I'd like to know what you think, because this is where we start to shift from our theory to action. So I'm seeing yes, 100% from Lindsay. I'm seeing yes from Dan. Yes, agreed from Constance and Vicky. Yes. David, just an FYI, when it comes to energy use, okay, there are global adjustment days that are used to set your energy rates for the year. Your company energy broker should be able to tell you when the global adjustment days for your sites are to be expected. On those days, you can reduce your energy consumption to have a lower rate calculated. We have a generator on site, and our broker calculated that if we ran it on the global adjustment days, we could save over $100,000. That's amazing, David. And for all of us on the session today, that's a one takeaway for sure that I think we can all take a look at. So that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Ron, by doing more in safety, the risk becomes lower and money can be saved through insurance and risk. 100%, Ron. Blake, yes, culture matters, driven from the top down. Yes, for sure. Mark, yes, see this by consistent near miss reporting. Yes, how do you know it's working? When people are reporting the near misses, so that, of course, the hazard can be addressed before it actually harms a person or equipment or property. Good. That's a really good point. Thank you, Mark. Timothy, yes, the culture needs to leverage everyone from frontline workers to the CEO to take personal safety responsibly. Yeah, that's important. Misty, we're in a small community. All of our staff are locals and most are friends or family to each other. We have to keep each other safe because one person's injury affects most of our staff. Yes, Misty, I agree. We are going to see some of that language as we move forward. And I thank you for raising that. Really, really important and part of your values, which we're going to talk about. Tara, yes, we have 160 employees and we need buy-in from all employees to ensure the safety of everyone. Perfect. Ida, we have a system for risk observation and recording and plan mitigation to reduce the accidents. Love that. Tom, personally, strong safety culture should be mandatory all the time. It shouldn't waver no matter what the finance or fiscal financial stressors are. I agree, but it is tough in some organizations. Akil, yes, safety culture always matters. A group which thinks safety to be the priority in all situations will maintain the safe work even when times are challenging. Agreed. Pamela, yes, we are a third party, but we communicate through the region and they notify contractors, etc. They have contracted. Okay, so we're looking at contractor safety management there for sure being important. And of course, the culture continues and absorbs and includes the contractors. Absolutely. Jack, safety culture is important, particularly important when you have a workplace that has representation from every country in the world. Ooh, absolutely. 100%. Love that comment. Thank you. Nancy, yes, if safety culture isn't viewed as critical by leadership, the risk of it becomes a line item for future cuts. Yeah, you need to keep safety on leadership's minds. Near misses helps with this. It does. And hopefully we'll also get some tips in the next module to talk about what we can bring back to our organizations to help reinforce that message with the leadership team. Constance talks about campaign to increase reporting such as positive interactions, hazards, briefings, etc. Wonderful. John, our safety program is tied to portion to our bonus. So lost time could affect us by 50% of the bonus. So safety is number one priority. Yeah, you know, when safety is part of our performance management and our performance reviews, it can really have an impact for sure. Vanessa, currently working on our incident reporting and damaged equipment reporting standard operating procedures. In-person training will be conducted. Beautiful. And Timothy, we also need to circle back to everyone who reports an incident. Yeah, to let them know how we dealt with it. What corrective measures did we put in place to help prevent that from happening again? Perfect. Jenny, strong safety culture means safety is part of productivity. 100%, not on the sidelines. And Akil, we have an online reporting system for BSO and hazard ID reporting where all leaders are assigned to record all issues and assigned for corrective action with priority levels. Beautiful. So a system already implemented, and now we need to make sure that we continue having that move forward and run smoothly as well. And I think finally we've got Alexandra here. Thank you. We attempt to put more emphasis on rewarding positive safety behavior with a reward program facilitated by leadership on the shop floor. We track the rewards given out month over month. An increase would show an increasingly strong safety culture from both the workers reporting hazards and leadership acknowledging the support those reports provide to our safety culture. I love that. That's great and really involving everybody. Thank you. I think we've got some great takeaways as well from the chat so far, so I appreciate that. So we all agree, right? Safety culture does matter more than ever, but a strong safety culture is more than just a compliance exercise, right? It starts with those clear expectations and consistent routines. When everybody knows what's expected and these expectations are reinforced daily, discipline becomes second nature. And it also means, and I'm seeing this in the chat as well, empowering our frontline teams. The people closest to the work are often the first to spot risks or suggest those improvements. And when they feel trusted and supported, they become those active contributors to safety, not just passive rule followers. What's also important, and many of you have mentioned the training, this training that sticks, right? This is not just about those one-time sessions. It's about ongoing learning that's relevant and practical and reinforced through those real world applications. And then of course there's leadership modeling. When those leaders consistently demonstrate safe behaviors, it sends a powerful message. Safety isn't optional, it's foundational. And finally, we need systems that support smart decisions, whether it's those digital tools that some of you've talked about, the checklists or the workflows. Those right systems help teams make safe choices quickly and confidently. Safety isn't optional, it's strategic, especially in lean times. It's the one investment that protects your people, your productivity, and your reputation. It's really the cornerstone of resilience. And a strong safety culture protects your people, your productivity, and your reputation. And the good news, it's not just the right thing to do, it's also being rewarded, right? I'm going to go into a couple of slides here on the financial supports available to Ontario employers that can help offset some of those costs and even the fuel safety innovation that we talked about a couple of slides ago. We are seeing the lowest WSIB premium rate in over 50 years. It's just $1.25 per $100 of insurable payroll has given direct savings for businesses committed to safe operations. And on top of that, those WSIB surplus rebates reward strong performance. If your organization is investing in safety and keeping those WSIB claims low, you will be eligible for a distribution, right? There's also the manufacturer's rebate for the Ontario Made Manufacturing Investment Tax Credit, which is giving tax credits to manufacturers investing in buildings and equipment. It's a planned investment that could raise the credit rate to 15% and expand eligibility through 2030. So if you're not aware of that, it will be a resource or link as part of your resources. And if you need any further information on that, feel free to jump in and talk with me after the session. Let's not forget those free training and planning tools. Many of you are already talking about them, but don't forget all of the sources available to you, such as Workplace Safety and Prevention Services, the Ministry of Labour, Immigration, Training and Skills Development, and the Canadian Centre for Occupational Health and Safety. These resources offer free training, e-learning, and many planning tools to help you build smarter, safer workplaces without straining your budgets. And here's the takeaway, safety doesn't have to compete with financial discipline. It can complement it. And these supports are here to help you invest in safety without sacrificing stability. So want to say here we've got WSIB just announced a couple of weeks ago, just another rate reduction in 2026 to $1.23. Awesome, right? And I think, thank you, Alexander, really good news. Tasha, okay, yep, says the same thing. Fantastic. Both of you are on the ball. Tom, interesting. In all my years being involved with industry, I have never heard much of anything about how much WSIB money we are saving. Yeah, and oftentimes it doesn't go to you. I know from my previous background, it may have gone completely to financial department or possibly HR in combination. So it's important to recognize that this is available to us, and it really can be some great cost-cutting measures, or at least some money back into your organization. I did want to just a couple of other things to say about here. This is really a major milestone, the WSIB surplus distributions. So in 2025, WSIB announced $2 billion surplus distribution. And really, this is the largest return to safe employers in recent history. And really, it's not just about a refund. It's meant to be a direct investment into Ontario's economy, right? This will allow organizations to upgrade their equipment or invest in training and really overall strengthen their occupational health and safety programs. Most importantly, it does reward strong safety performance. Employers who've prioritized safety, reduced their injuries, maintained low claims, are now seeing some tangible financial benefits. And really, safety performance now comes with financial rewards, not just about compliance, but it is about building a resilient, productive, and cost-effective workplace. Just another quick slide to talk about who qualifies. Some of you may or may not be familiar with this, but the WSIB surplus rebates are really a powerful incentive. You have to, though, meet specific criteria to qualify. First of all, you need a proven record of safe operations, and this means consistently low injury rates. Secondly, there must be no multiple convictions under the Workplace Safety and Insurance Act or the Occupational Health and Safety Act. You know, these rebates reward compliance and not just effort. And third, there should be a low incident of major safety violations, especially no traumatic fatalities. WSIB is looking for those organizations that prioritize prevention. And I think finally, really, you need to be engaged, or your employers need to be engaged with the WSIB standards and reporting. And this includes those timely submissions, the transparency, and a commitment to continual improvement. So really, compliance and culture, they're really a key to unlocking these rebates. It's not just about avoiding penalties. It's really about earning rewards through leaderships. So I'll move on to a couple of questions. There is some information or some chat going on, and we'll take a look in a moment. I have a question about whether your organization has received any of the WSIB surplus rebates, and how is that being invested back into strengthening your safety program? I'd like to know, and in the first chats we talked about, well, there was one chat I recall that the executives are getting the additional training. It's not really being brought to the frontline staff. I'm interested who is involved in the decisions where surpluses would be divvied up. Is it your senior leadership? Is it your Joint Health and Safety Committee that has some input? Is it just the finance teams? Are there frontline consultations going on? Just drop your thoughts in the chat. I'd like to understand how these decisions help us to ensure how the safety remains a strategic priority. So a couple of comments. Interestingly, in all my years being involved with industry, I've never heard much of anything about how much WSIB money we are saving. So just tying that back into this chat, I think makes sense. Crystal says, you know what, unfortunately, the workers never get any of this money. There is no way to direct how the employers spend that money. Nothing to say it will go into the health and safety programs. Okay. Do we have to apply for it, or will it be distributed by WSIB? Normally it's distributed based on your claims. And you can also take a look at Safety Check on WSIB to see how your organization is actually comparing to the province and where you might be in terms of distribution. There are accounts managers that are also tied in with your particular organization as well, if that's part of your role. Jack, our rebates go back into our bottom line, back into our operating budgets. Then this goes back into decision making as it relates to annual wage increases. Okay, part of your KPIs. I have no idea if we've ever received. Okay, so there's an opportunity to maybe ask some questions. Nancy, rebates go back to the bottom line, sadly not targeted to health and safety department or programs. And same with Janelle, our rebates went back into human resources. Okay, Misty, we've received, and I'm frustrated because it goes into the general budget and none is allocated to health and safety programs. Okay, again, who's making these decisions? So we want to alleviate or at least ameliorate some of our frustration with the process and maybe asking some questions about how these decisions are made. And Constance, I'm certain we've received a surplus rebate, not sure how it was reinvested. Executive leadership team makes those decisions. Okay, thank you for that. Let's take a moment, and one of you mentioned this already. I want to highlight at least the WSIB's Health and Safety Excellence Program, commonly known as HSEP. This slide introduces that powerful tool for Ontario employers looking to strengthen their health and safety culture while driving those measurable business results. WSIB's Health and Safety Excellence Program is designed to support employers of all sizes, whether you're just starting on your safety journey or looking to take it to the next level. The program focuses on continuous improvement in occupational health and safety, helping organizations build their systems, their routines, and the leadership practices that reduce risk and improve performance. And here's the incentive. Participating in HSEP can lead to reduced WSIB premiums. So this is on top of the surplus we just talked about. And this means that your safety efforts don't just protect people, they can also deliver real financial value. It's really can be a win-win for your workforce and the bottom line. So in HSEP, really it's designed to meet you where you are. You begin with a needs assessment and a culture survey, which really helps employers understand where they currently stand in terms of safety practices and attitudes. It's really a crucial step to identifying those gaps and opportunities. Next, employers will register with WSIB approved provider, such as WSPS, and we provide guidance and support throughout the process. Then comes your action plan, right? Employers select 1 to 5 topics from a menu of 40 available options. And these topics span foundational, intermediate, advanced levels. So organizations can tailor their plan based on their current maturity and goals. And once the plan's set, it's time to implement. And typically this happens over a 12-month period, which gives teams time to integrate changes in a meaningful way. And then finally, employers submit their work for WSIB validation. And if approved, right, they earn premium reductions. It's really a tangible reward for investing in safety. I want to let you know this is really a step-by-step approach and can really help ensure that you're implementing improvements in a strategic, measurable, and sustainable way. Yes, these 40 question in the chat, are these 40 topics available to view anywhere? Yes, they're available on the WSIB website. It's a relatively new thing now. They're outlining, identifying all of the topics and how they fit within these 3 levels. So by all means, if you need me to assist you, we can do that after the session and we can walk through it together. Good question. The Health and Safety Excellence Program isn't just about compliance, though. I want you to know it's embedding safety into the core of your business strategy. Thanks, Julie has put a link in the chat there to the safety requirements. Fantastic. First, HSEP helps align safety with operational goals. This means your safety initiatives aren't running in isolation. They're integrated with your productivity, your quality, and your performance targets. And when safety becomes part of how you operate, it drives better outcomes across the board. Secondly, HSEP builds internal capacity for continuous improvement. It equips your team with the tools, the knowledge, and the structure to keep evolving, not just meeting standards, but raising them. And third, safety practices lead to reduced long-term costs. Fewer incidents mean fewer claims, less downtime, improved morale. It's really a smart investment that pays off in both human and financial terms. And finally, I'll say HSEP strengthens your eligibility for those WSIB rebates and surplus distributions. By demonstrating proactive safety leadership, you position your business to benefit from financial incentives. So HSEP, more than just a program, it's a performance accelerator, right? It drives your safety, efficiency, and profitability all at once. Make the most of what you have, even when these budgets are tight. And just a reminder, right? The WSIB rebates aren't just a reward, they're a reinvestment opportunity. I know that some of us may not have control over all of those dollars, but at least we can start to speak to the folks that make those decisions and start using some of our smart strategies to help with that dialogue and conversation. Reminder, we can use those rebates to fund some of our training or conduct audits or upgrade our equipment. And that Ontario-made manufacturing investment tax credit can help modernize your facilities and think smarter outlets, better ventilation, safer machinery. It's important to at least take a look at those. And all of those free WSIB and WSPS and other organizational tools can help you with the free learning and planning resources, right? That can help embed safety into all of our daily operations without adding costs. So just want to know that, we've got smart use of these resources, which we can turn constraints into opportunities. Okay, I've talked for a couple of slides now. Just wondering, this question, I want to encourage some practical sharing, right? We've looked at tax rebates or tax credits and rebates, some free tools. Even when budgets are tight, we can use these, but these resources don't activate themselves. It takes someone or a team to champion their use and align them with business goals. Think about which of these resources your organization has or could use to strengthen safety during these lean times. Think about who in your organization leads the change. Again, I'm tying it back to an earlier question. Who is in charge when it comes to using safety resources wisely? It is sometimes a safety manager, or a finance lead, or maybe there's collaboration with your joint health and safety committee. Maybe they're making some recommendations, or maybe there's a frontline supervisor who sees the value and how can they influence outcomes, right? Let's lead the way by at least trying to understand how our leadership and collaboration can turn opportunity into impact. So some of you have already said it's out of my hands, or maybe you're not sure how it's being used, but an opportunity or invitation to understand that process a little bit more robustly. When resources are tight, it's easy to assume that safety has to take a back seat, but in reality, lean environments can inspire safety practices in a smarter way and an efficient way. So I want us to think about peer-led safety resources or safety checks, right? These are those short, informal inspections led by employees themselves, right? They can build a sense of ownership and accountability because when when workers are empowered to start or to spot some of these safety concerns and start solving some of them, the culture shifts from reactive to proactive. And there's digital signage. Some of you have talked about this, smart ways to keep safety top of mind. Are you using screens or tablets or TVs to rotate reminders and updates and alerts, which can eliminate those printing costs, right? Ensure that messages stay fresh and visible. It can be a simple tech solution with big impact. Please don't overlook the power of micro adjustments. Even small changes like improving lighting or adding clear labeling or organizing tools can dramatically reduce risks. And these tweaks are, often inexpensive but highly effective. So really, it's not just about spending more, it's about spending creatively and acting intentionally. So these smart, simple actions can sustain safety even when those budgets are tight. I want to emphasize the importance of using data, not instinct. Smart safety leaders don't guess, they analyze. This starts with reviewing our incident reports and our near misses and our incident logs. Some of you talked about in the chat how you are looking at data and the return on investment. It's important to understand we can focus our resources where they have the greatest impact when we start to identify these patterns. It may be a high traffic zone. Maybe it's a recurring hazard or a specific shift where these incidents tend to spike. And if we target the interventions this way, we can start making sure that our efforts are strategic and not just scattered. You may be using simple tools like the heat maps or dashboards where you can see these risks clearly, communicate it effectively, and track the progress over time. So when we lead with data, we start to lead with confidence and we'll get some results. Too often, and we saw this in the chat a little bit, safety is seen as a responsibility of one department or one manager, but real safety culture is shared. It's something everyone owns, and it starts with encouraging people to speak up. So when team members feel safe to report suggestions or concerns, they become active contributors, not passive observers. And when someone spots a hazard or solves a safety issue, celebrate it. Some of you have said already in the chat that's what you're doing. I think that's great. If you want to add a little bit more detail, if you feel that that's something you want to provide a little bit of experience or insight in, please. I think that's fantastic because ultimately safety should be part of the job and not just a checklist, right? It should be woven into our daily routines, conversations, and decisions. Okay, so just want to see if there's any way that anybody else wants to encourage our way or our folks to speak up or report safety concerns. If you do, if you want to add anything different or in addition to what you've already mentioned in the chat, I think that would be wonderful. While you're thinking about that, jumping ahead, sorry. I want to also talk about time. And oftentimes teams are saying we're already in meetings all day. How can we fit in more? The answer is you don't have to. Instead of adding new meetings, let's make the ones you already have more meaningful. Start with those simple 2-minute check-ins. Are you doing that in your team meetings or during your daily huddles or shift briefings, right? Are you asking, did anyone notice a hazard today? What's the one thing we can do safer today? And these quick conversations, help to build awareness and accountability. And I think also, don't forget about project planning. Every time you launch a new initiative, take a moment to assess those safety risks and mitigation strategies, because it's it's easier to prevent the problems than to fix them later. Oop, sorry about that. Can everyone see my screen? Is that okay? I just had a glitch. Come up if you can. Okay. It might be on my end. Okay, thank you. It looks like it's on my end. All right. What I'd like for us to do is covered the landscape. I want to jump to, the challenges, understanding that the challenges are real, but they're not insurmountable. Ontario employers have access to rebates and tax credits and structured programs that can really ease and fuel the innovation. We've talked about some of those, but let's get into this final half hour where we start to talk about assessing our own safety culture, identify what's working, and pinpoint really where we might need some help or to adapt. Whoops. This is where the SWOT framework comes in, and it can help you map out your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats so you can build a roadmap that's resilient and realistic and ready for action. And I'd want us to really turn insight into strategy because informed leadership is the foundation of a strong safety culture. So what is a SWOT? Well, let's take a moment to define the tool of today's session, really. It's that strategic framework that helps you assess your safety culture from all angles, internal, external, strengths, and our vulnerabilities. I want us to start with strengths. What are we doing well? Maybe it's your strong leadership, your engaged employees, or a solid incident reporting system. Right? And Jack, we provide rewards to associates. We do toolbox talks. I attend manager meetings and ask for a few minutes at meetings that are already scheduled. Fantastic. That would be a strength for sure. Then we look at weaknesses. Where are the gaps or the risks? Are there blind spots in our training? Is there inconsistent follow through or outdated equipment? And then we talk about identifying opportunities. What can we leverage or improve? This could be a new technology, there could be government rebates that we've talked about, or a chance to build even cross-team collaboration. And then we want to talk about threats. What external pressures could undermine safety? And think those economic constraints we've talked about earlier, maybe up and coming regulatory changes, or even those staffing shortages that some of you have mentioned earlier. The takeaway here is quite simple, but it's powerful. A SWOT helps us see the full picture clearly and strategically. It's not just about identifying problems. It's really about building a roadmap for action. I want you to understand, if you haven't used a SWOT before, maybe you've used it previously and we're going to use it in a different way this time. It is a lens. It helps us see our safety culture clearly and strategically. It starts by giving us a comprehensive overview of where we stand. We're not just looking at where it's broken, but we're also recognizing where it's working well. I like the SWOT because it encourages balanced thinking, right? Not only what our internal strengths and weaknesses are, but we're looking at the external opportunities and threats and how we can start building resiliency. And I think also the visual structure makes it very easy to communicate and collaborate, whether you're presenting to a leadership or you're engaging frontline teams. The SWOT brings clarity. And most importantly, I think it helps us prioritize. When those resources are limited, knowing where to focus is critical. And the SWOT helps us allocate those resources wisely. We start to move from awareness to impact. So a reminder here, who do we involve? Well, a resilient strategy doesn't just start with a spreadsheet. It starts with people. The right voices at the table can make all the difference. So when we conduct our SWOT, think about all of the diverse group of stakeholders. It may mean our frontline workers, our supervisors, our health and safety reps or committees, and even external partners if that's relevant, because each of those persons brings a unique lens, and together they help paint a more accurate picture. And this matters because real conditions aren't always visible from the top. The people doing the work often see these risks and these opportunities and the strengths that leadership might miss. And this collaboration leads to clarity. And when we have clarity, we have action. And when everyone contributes, the final strategy is more grounded, it's more practicable, and it's more likely to succeed. So as we prepare your SWOT, ask yourself who needs to be in the room. And really here, I would like to say a well-rounded SWOT is based on shared insight. Collaboration leads to clarity, and clarity leads to action. Invite your team to fill in each quadrant, starting with internal factors like strengths and weaknesses, and then moving to the external ones like opportunities and threats. Once that grid is completed, you use it to guide your strategic discussions and build your action plan. The SWOT is really straightforward. We start by drawing the simple 4-quadrant grid. You can do it on a whiteboard, a flip chart, or even a shared document. You label it strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And then you invite your input from your stakeholders. And remember, those strengths and weaknesses are your internal issues or features. They reflect what's happening inside your organization. They're your systems, your people, your culture. And the opportunities and threats are external. They include those things that we've talked about, like market trends and regulations or those economic pressures. And once the grid is filled out, you use it to guide your discussions. What should you protect? Where should you invest? What risk needs mitigation? And the completed SWOT grid then becomes your blueprint for resilience. It's just not a planning tool. It's really a conversation starter and a decision-making guide. So let's use a quick example before we bring it home to ourselves. I want to use this SWOT framework to bring to life with a real world scenario. So let's imagine an Ontario-based small local auto repair shop, right? They're facing economic pressure. Customers might be delaying non-essential repairs. They've got rising costs, but they're committed to maintaining safety standards while managing costs. Here's how a SWOT can help them navigate those lean times strategically. They've decided, they brought their people in, they did their SWOT, this is what they found. Their strengths: they have a strong safety record, they have experienced supervisors, and they have a culture that values employee input. These are assets they can build upon. Their weaknesses: budget constraints mean delayed equipment upgrades and limited training opportunities. So these internal gaps could increase risk if they're left unaddressed. Then to the opportunities. The Ontario rebates we talked about and the free safety resources might be something that they want to tap into, or maybe even peer-led training or reorganized workflows to improve safety without spending more. These are some of the things that this group has discussed and come up with. And then finally, their threats. You know, those economic uncertainties could lead to staff turnover. And some of you mentioned that earlier, that you're having some challenges with staff turnover or production pressure that compromises safety. So external audits or regulatory changes might also add some stress. But by mapping this out, the company can start making some smart decisions and protect what's working. So even in these turbulent or lean times, a SWOT can help us identify where to invest, what to protect, and how to adapt. In this case, the company's already doing well. They've built a strong safety culture. They have experienced supervisors. These are powerful assets. They can amplify their strengths by launching, let's say, a peer-led safety ambassador program. And this taps into their supervisor expertise and spreads safety leadership across the floor. They may, like many of you, recognize employee contributions through like a safety win spotlight, which in your examples keep workers employees the morale high, and it helps reinforce the idea that safety is everyone's responsibility. And by documenting those internal best practices, they start to create a playbook, right, that others can learn from and scaling those successes without reinventing the wheel. Their internal challenges, they've got budget constraints, which are delaying that equipment upgrade and limiting the formal training. To manage this, they start to prioritize equipment fixes based on risk, addressing the most critical issues first. And that's right, smart triage. But they also shift from costly formal training to, like many of you've done, the peer-led or internal micro-learning or train the trainer types of opportunities. These short focus sessions should really be practicable, relatable, budget friendly. And of course, the Ontario rebates and other supports that we had talked about earlier. Opportunities are where strategy meets creativity, right? So Ontario provides those free safety resources and financial incentives. Those are the low-hanging fruit. But here they assign a point person to monitor and apply for those programs. Many companies miss out simply because they're not aware. They reorganize the high traffic areas to reduce hazards without spending a dime, and they integrate free online safety modules into weekly huddles or daily huddles, really, which can help keep learning continuous and accessible. And finally, they prepare for the mitigating the external threats. In this case, their cross-training plan builds some flexibility. So if somebody leads, others can step in safely. Pressure protocol to help teams maintain standards even during busy times. And a mock audit, they decide, is one proactive way they can stay ahead of regulatory changes, because it's better now to find the gaps than doing an actual inspection. Some of the other things they could do here is, I think they could monitor some burnout by rotating the tasks and encouraging breaks to reduce fatigue, prevent accidents. They could also subscribe to WSPS and other associations to know what's happening coming down the pipe from the Ministry of Labour, Immigration, Training and Skills Development on their compliance audits as an example. And they could also plan for supply delays here. But the point of this quick little example is really it's an action plan. It's not about spending more, but it is about leading smarter. And by using that SWOT to guide decisions, the company can protect what's working, even where it counts, right? Or especially where it counts. And they can adapt, they can pivot with some confidence. In the next couple of weeks, right? They're not just finished here, but they design or they schedule or strategize an action plan. In the next couple of weeks, they decide to conduct a safety walkthrough and identify some quick wins and some gaps. And in the first month, they start to apply for those rebates and start scheduling some online training. And in the second month, they start to plan to launch a new safety manual and review progress with the team, right? So small little wins and action plans that help this small employer move from reactive to proactive and building a safety culture that's lean, practical, and ready for the road ahead. So a couple of things to think about when you're looking at your strengths. So I want you to think about applying the SWOT framework to your own organization. Not just a theoretical exercise, a practical tool to spark meaningful reflection and guide strategic action. Look beyond your formal systems. Think about everyday routines or habits that help safety stick. Here are some I invite you to think about. What safety practices are already working well? Where do you see strong leadership or employee engagement? And maybe it is that daily huddle, or you've got a mentorship culture, or a supervisor who always leads by example. These are our internal strengths that often go unnoticed, but they are the backbone of a resilient safety culture. What internal process or habit consistently supports safety in your workplace, even when things get busy? And what safety-related value or belief is deeply rooted in your organization, and how does it show up in your daily work? Right? Go beyond those symptoms or systems, I should say, and habits, and think about your values, right? Sometimes the strongest safety asset is a deeply held belief, like everyone goes home safe. I saw it in the chat. We're a small town, and if somebody gets injured, it's going to impact a lot of people. That would be an impressive strength and should not go unnoticed. Maybe we speak up for each other, whatever that mission statement is or value, because values shape our behavior. They guide our decisions and they influence how our teams are going to respond under pressure. So feel free to mention any additional strength that you were thinking about that you could start adding to your own SWOT analysis as you build upon it. Happy to see what some of you might be thinking about in the chat. Feel free to share. Jack has said, using the SWOT, we found that a gap that we have is that we are not following through with due diligence as it relates to disciplining safety violations. We have found that we have a gap in demonstrating that key piece. And then you can move forward on an action item for sure. Thank you for sharing that. And maybe some of us will also have a similar experience. Weaknesses, right? What are those internal challenges that you can undermine safety when they're not looked at or when things get busy or stressful? And maybe it's a reporting system that gets ignored or a training routine that's hard to maintain, right? What internal safety process tends to break down under pressure and why? Often communication is the first thing to slip, right? When resources are tight, whether it's a missed handoff, unclear expectations, inconsistent messaging from leadership, these gaps can create risk. So I'd like for you to reflect, where does safety communication fall short in your organization? Is it between shifts, teams, leadership? And sometimes safety slips just because people, allow pressures to take over, not because they don't care. So maybe it's the production targets or customer deadlines. So think about, where safety might get deprioritized in your workplace. So Tara said, we found there's a lot of information that is not reviewed frequently enough, or we're starting a monthly safety topic for team meetings, as well as doing bi-monthly trainings that are engaging at all our staff meetings, in addition to our annual training required by all staff. 80% of our employees have to travel 1 to 2 hours daily to our communities for work. So we have a working group now where we are reviewing safe travel practices, including controls we implement and hazards we need to ensure employees are aware of. I love that. That's fantastic. Yeah, thank you, Tara. And we'll see if that helps, right, with people's frustration or fatigue or any of the other hazards associated with travel. Good, thank you. Threats, reminder, I'm going to go to threats and then opportunities because I want to end on a positive. Threats are those outside forces that can throw even the best safety plans, right, off course. Maybe it's those budget cuts we talked about, the high turnover some of you've talked about, new regulations that require fast adaptation. These pressures don't just test your systems, they test your culture. So what external pressures could disrupt your safety efforts? And these might be even some that creep in quietly, like automation introducing some unfamiliar hazards, climate effects impacting outdoor work. Some might be coming in from shifting demographics or expectations. So think about those threats, not just disruptions, but as signals that there's a new trend, a regulation, a shift in our workforce that could reshape how we think about safety. Some thoughts welcomed as well. So we found, yes, hearts to Tara and her conversation there. Absolutely, 100%. Finally, I want to talk about the opportunities, right? These are not just about looking ahead, but they're also, a valuable resource, maybe some of the resources we haven't leveraged yet. Think about the untapped resource that could help elevate your safety in your workplace. Maybe there's an innovation, big or small, that could help make safety more effective or efficient or engaging for your team. And it doesn't need to be high tech. It could be a new way of running toolbox talks, a digital checklist, something that Tara's talked about here, right? We're starting the monthly safety talk for the team. That might be something that's really making safety more efficient, effective, and even engaging in this situation. So think about that, where you may use some creativity to explore a new avenue. Again, it's not just about one team or one manager. Maybe there is a department that hasn't been fully involved in your safety communications or conversations. Maybe it's someone in HR or even finance when we're not really understanding how all the whole WSIB rebates work. Maybe it's an IT person that could be used in a way or as a stronger ally. And how might you bring them in? And collaboration might actually unlock some new momentum. So back to that stakeholder group as part of this process or exercise. And maybe, the best opportunities are already happening. They just haven't been amplified, right? Maybe one team has solved a recurring hazard, or a pilot program has improved reporting. Maybe there's a safety success story in your organization that you could be scaling or shared more widely. So surface those wins and explore how to build on them. Ron says, we hold monthly health and safety meetings for drivers. Yeah, we use Teams for locations who cannot attend our main office, so the same message to everyone. Love it. And yeah, technology can certainly be advantageous, as we've seen here today as well. So once you've completed your SWOT analysis, turn your insight into action. I've just given you a few questions to think about today moving forward, but start by prioritizing your key findings. Not everything needs to be tackled at once. Focus on what's urgent, what's doable, and what makes the biggest impact. Next, set your clear goals, 2 or 3 safety objectives, like we saw with the small business example. Align them with your strengths and address the most pressing weaknesses or threats. And then assign ownership, right? Who is going to be involved? It's not just the safety team. Bring in the operations, HR, our frontline leaders, because shared responsibility drives momentum. Build in a timeline though, right? Short-term wins and build confidence. And then what are our long-term milestones to sustain the progress? Like was mentioned earlier, we kind of fell through on the due diligence as it relates to disciplining safety violations. We got to readdress that, right? That plan, do, check, act type of model. And measure what matters, right? Go beyond the compliance, track the proactive behaviors, the engagement, the culture shifts. Some of you are already implementing something, so you're going to have an opportunity to look at your return on investment, because this is where your safety strategy becomes real. Build something that lasts. So I want to talk about where to begin, because even the best strategy means nothing without action. Right? Start with that one thing that will move safety forward. Whether you're a team of 2 or 200, gather your people. Bring together those voices from across the organization, those who live safety every day. Ask what's right? What's good, what's not working, what's missing, what's possible, and commit to a call to action. Choose one initiative, one behavior, one change we can start today. Again, where planning starts to turn into progress, and we can move the conversation from or into transformation, right? Where planning turns into progress. 7 practical ways to start, and none of them require a big budget, but all of them have momentum. Hold a 15-minute safety huddle. Reinforce one key message and invite employee input. It's quick, it's powerful, it builds trust. Download a free safety audit template. Use WSPS or government tools to assess, where do you stand today? Apply for one of those Ontario rebates or credits, and many of those programs are simple to access, right, and have easy accessibility online. Enroll in a free safety course, right, online. Pick a module. Maybe it's hazard awareness, ergonomics, whatever fits your team's needs. There's a lot of free ones there. If you need help, reach out. Reorganize your workplace or your workspace for a better flow, right? Reduce those trip hazards, make tools easier to access, anything like that, whatever works for you. Create a shared safety checklist. Use a whiteboard or an app or a printed sheet, whatever works for your team. Schedule this SWOT analysis with your with your team. Use the framework we discussed earlier today to start building your safety roadmap. Each of these are small, they're doable, they're impactful, and when done consistently, they start to shift safety from a rule to a value, because we don't need a big budget to make a difference. Just start small, stay consistent, build momentum, and that's the important message I want us to take away today. So 11:50, we're coming to an end. We've covered a lot today, right? From analyzing your safety landscape to identifying some practical steps you can take right now. And many of you shared great information in the chat, which we'll also take with us. Awesome, thank you. But I want to leave with you with one simple challenge, right? What's one action you'll take this week to strengthen safety in your workplace? Doesn't have to be big, just has to be real. Share it in the chat. Let's build some accountability. Let's try to inspire each other. Write it down, make it a personal commitment, discuss it with your team tomorrow. Bring others into the conversation. Lean times test our culture, but they also reveal our strength. And I know this group's got what it has to take, right? You've got the tools, you've got the insight, you've got the support. Now it's time to lead, start small, think big, and add, build a safety culture that's ready for anything. Anything anybody want to share? Awesome. As you do, I'm just going to move forward. Just a reminder, we've got free resources available at WSPS. We've got complimentary consulting, training and certifications, WSIB Health and Safety Excellence Program. I also wanted to mention we've got complimentary consulting services. So if your business is in manufacturing, service, or agricultural sectors, if you pay WSIB premiums, you are a WSPS member. And there are, of course, health and safety assessments and review of your WSIB safety check and small business advisory service. And of course, a day of consulting and additional services should you receive a Ministry of Labor, Immigration, Training, and Skills Development order. So yeah, so we've got Mark saying develop a team for SWOT analysis process. Awesome. I love that you're going to do that, Mark. Fantastic. Timothy, I'm going to look at doing safety idea, reach out to all departments and use the SWOT as the template. Love it. Scott, I'm going to schedule a SWOT and initiate the trainer conversations with management. Excellent. Nancy, I'm going to provide a safety message in our weekly newsletter. I love that. I'm going to review possibility of the excellence program for Review possibility of the excellent program for our company. Try and use the rebate for enhancing the safety program within the same budget. Awesome. And there are multiple employers who are really benefiting from the HSEP, like thousands of dollars in rebates. It really is worth looking into. Jack, my goal for 26 is to increase our associate engagement by 2%. Safety was key factor in 2025 surveys. JHSC has been tasked with assisting with this improvement. Awesome. So using your stakeholders and the people who matter as well. That's wonderful. I really appreciate that. A reminder, Tara, I'm going to bring this forward to our discussions with the Safe Travel Working Group. We are establishing an emergency response plan in the event of an accident while traveling. Yeah, fantastic and really, really important. And we have many resources regarding MVIs as well. Tara, check out our resources on our website or reach out if there's anything specific that you might be looking for. So I'm going to give you back 7 minutes, or at least stay around if you want to have a bit more conversation. But I do want to thank all of you for attending today's Safety Connection. You will receive a follow-up email with resources from today. If you do have any further questions or you'd like to get in touch with a WSPS consultant, please contact us using the information on the screen. So I hope you found this informative today. I really enjoyed your contributions. Thank you so much. Ron's got a safety success story. By being transparent with accidents, by showing videos and having discussions about it, we have been able to drive down the CVOR to under 13% to under 13% from over 25%. That's an amazing success story, Ron. You've got to celebrate that. Okay, thank you so much. Really appreciate everyone's participation. Again, the recording will be available in about a couple of weeks' time. Thank you so much, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day.